Good morning, church. Now that I'm in my 80s and can look back on my life, I see that I've had my share of crosses, but nothing compared to the cross of Jesus who ended up in crucifixion, nor the crosses that I've seen many other people endure. I'm happy here at St. Paul's. Love this community. And I don't think I'm going to be or end up in crucifixion in the few years that I have left. So I ask myself, what does it mean to take up the cross of Jesus? Was Christ called to be crucified? Let me read the Gospel today from John chapter 12, verses 20 to 33. Some Greeks who had come to worship at the Passover feast came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and asked him, "Sir, we would like to see Jesus." Philip went and told Andrew. Then Andrew and Philip went and told Jesus. Jesus answered them, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Amen, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. Whoever loves his life loses it, and whoever hates his life in this world will preserve it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, there also will my servant be. The Father will honor whoever serves me. I am troubled now, yet what should I say? Father, save me from this hour. But it was for this purpose that I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name." Then a voice came from heaven, "I have glorified it and will glorify it again." The crowd there heard it and said it was thunder, but others said, "An angel has spoken to him." Jesus answered and said, "This voice did not come for my sake, but for yours. Now is the time of judgment on this world. Now the ruler of this world will be driven out. And when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw everyone to myself." He said this, indicating the kind of death he would die. When Andrew and Philip, Greek names, came to Jesus to say that some Greeks wished to speak to him, Jesus tells them that the hour has come. It is the first time in John's Gospel that Jesus says what his purpose in life is, and he tells the apostles that the grain of wheat must die if it is to bear fruit. He then tells them that whoever seeks to preserve his life will lose it, but whoever goes beyond oneself will preserve it for eternal life. Jesus was not talking of crucifixion, but rather how one is to go beyond oneself in reaching out to one's neighbor. Now, to put this in historical perspective, when the Babylonians defeated the Jewish nation and took everyone into slavery except the blind and the lame. The people were left with the awful state of being aliens in a foreign land. A generation later, when Cyrus, king of Persia, defeated the Babylonians, he allowed the Jews to return home. And they came back full of optimism. But when they returned to their homeland, they found the city in ruins and another people living on the land. And these homesteaders, who had been there for a generation, were not welcoming of the Jews who felt that the land belonged to them. In their disillusionment at the state of affairs, one prophet wrote to his people, calling them to give witness to God from their position of lowliness. It was not a message that they wanted to hear, but they did put his book into their scriptures. The book he wrote is called 2nd Isaiah, and it is the words of this book, as well as the words of Psalm 22, that the evangelists put on the mouth of Jesus in their story of his crucifixion. When I first immigrated to the United States, it had a population of 190 million people. At time, the immigration quota for Irish people was unlimited. All 5 million could have come that year if they chose. In that same year, the quota for Chinese people was 4 persons. I realized then that I was not entering the land of the free and the home of the brave. I saw racism at work on day one. And a few years later, when I was granted citizenship and made my Pledge of Allegiance along with many others, the Daughters of the Revolution, the DAR, served us punch and cake. The one who served me said that she was so happy to welcome me to America and was glad that I was not like some of the others. She nodded her head towards the people of colour who were also being served cake and punch. Ignorance and insular attitudes are not alien to the American psyche. But the love and compassion of Jesus for his neighbour reminds us of what we, children of God, are called to be. The cross that is asked of us is not to be crucified, but rather to speak out against those who would ignorantly place the cross of bigotry on those citizens whose only fault is that they do not look like us. God bless you.